Welcome back to Elevation Perspective. My name is Mark. There's been a ton of activity in Major League Baseball the last handful of days. The first base market's going crazy. We have a new home for Jesus Luzardo and Walker Buehler. We have Manaea going back to the New York Mets. Let's break it all down. In my last video on Saturday, I covered both Paul Goldschmidt and Christian Walker switching teams. Since then, we've had three notable first basemen also switching teams. First off here, Josh Naylor going from the Guardians to the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for Slade Ciccone and the number 72nd pick in the 2025 draft. In 2024, Josh Naylor hit .243 with 31 home runs and a .776 OPS. Naylor is 27 years old, right in the thick of his prime, entering a contract year here for Arizona. Josh Naylor is a great pickup here for Arizona after losing Christian Walker to Houston earlier this week. Josh Naylor slides right into a really nice RBI spot right behind Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte. This is a great fit for Arizona. Now the next first baseman to discuss today is Carlos Santana, re-entering the Cleveland fold after a few years away. His third stint with the team now on a one-year, $12 million deal to essentially replace Josh Naylor. They traded away Naylor about 20 minutes or so later. Passan tweeted out that Carlos Santana is returning to Cleveland. Carlos Santana had a productive season in 2024, hitting .238 with 23 home runs and a .748 OPS. I know this is how Cleveland operates. Basically, whenever a guy is in his contract year, they move on and try to get assets back because they won't be retaining him. But even with all that being said, knowing how Cleveland operates, I can't justify this move, trading away Josh Naylor, who's your second best hitter, your four-hitter, a 30-homer bat behind Jose Ramirez, in exchange for Slade Ciccone, who's a pitcher who's had no success at the major league level, and a draft pick, and then replacing him with Carlos Santana, who's 38 years old. Yes, he had a very nice year last year, but the bomb could fall at any time at 38, and even like his upside is probably 25 home runs. You're getting worse as a team that just won the American League Central, played in the American League Championship Series. You're making your team worse. And for the last first base news we have to cover today, the Texas Rangers are sending Nathaniel Lowe over to the Washington Nationals for reliever Robert Garcia. I do like Nathaniel Lowe as a player, but it seems like an odd fit to me sending him over to the Washington Nationals. In 2024, Lowe hit .265 with 16 home runs and a .762 OPS, pretty much identical to his 2023 year where he hit .262 with 17 home runs and a .774 OPS. Nathaniel Lowe is 29 years old with 2 more years of club control, so it looks like the Nationals view him as a multiple-year plan. I only call Lowe a weird fit with Washington because it's a very odd archetype here. He's a first baseman with not a lot of power but great on-base skills. He kind of reminds me a lot of James Loney right now. He looks to be the four-hitter right now in the projected Nationals lineup here. C.J. Abrams, James Wood, Dylan Cruz, Nathaniel Lowe, Luis Garcia, Keibert Ruiz, Alex Call, Jose Tena, and Jacob Young. The Nationals are a team on the rise that the industry is very excited about. I think they're hoping here that Lowe can go back to his 2022 ways, get the homers up to about 25, and be a key part of this team. When the news of the trade broke, I thought it was very strange Texas traded away Lowe for pretty much a no-name reliever in Robert Garcia, but it all became pretty clear about a day later when they agreed to terms with Jock Peterson on a 2-year deal. Jock Peterson was incredibly productive again in 2024, hitting .275 with 23 home runs and a .908 OPS. Jock is, of course, strictly a strong-side platoon player, only playing against righties, but I think he's one of the most underappreciated, underrated players in baseball. Jock does not play the outfield anymore. He is strictly a DH at this point of his career. Right now, the starting lineup looks like Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Wyatt Langford, Jock Peterson, Adolis Garcia, Josh Young, Evan Carter, Jake Berger, and Jonah Heim. Jake Berger, they of course acquired from the Marlins a few weeks ago as well. He will be playing first base for Nathaniel Lowe, and then we're going to have Jock Peterson at the DH. I think it's a clear offensive upgrade here for the Texas Rangers. Our next order of business here is Jesus Luzardo, big southpaw pitcher here who's seemingly been on the trade market for probably about 3 years now, finally gets dealt, going from the Miami Marlins to the Philadelphia Phillies. Jesus Luzardo was an incredibly difficult player to evaluate or judge. This is a player who's had a lot of different injuries over his short career. In 2024, he only pitched in 12 games, pitched into a 5 ERA. I don't think performance is a huge issue. I know he had a 5 ERA last year, pitching through some injuries. I think he has a lot of talent in his left arm, but this is a guy who just can't really stay on the field. 2023 was Luzardo's breakout year with the Marlins. He pitched in 32 games to a 3.58 ERA. He allowed 178 innings with 208 strikeouts. I think there are very few teams in Major League Baseball that should go out there and trade for a guy like Jesus Luzardo, but I think the Phillies are one of them. The Phillies have a very strong rotation with reliable arms. They have Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola at the top, who seemingly pitch 180-plus innings every single year, with Christopher Sanchez and Ranger Suarez as well. Jesus Luzardo is probably your 4 or your 5 starter. It's a great move for them. If he's bad, it doesn't really matter. They can just pitch somebody else, a Taijuan Walker or whoever else they have on the depth chart. If he's good, this could be an absolutely incredible asset to be their 3 starter in a playoff series. Scouts view Starlin Caba as the prize piece going back to Miami in this trade. He doesn't really have overwhelmingly impressive numbers in the minor leagues. He's just 19 years old, though, so it's very tough to evaluate here. He immediately slides in as the Marlins' number 3 prospect, so it seems like a win-win trade for both sides. Next up here, Walker Buehler finally finds a home going to the Boston Red Sox on a 1-year, $21 million deal. Walker Buehler is another pitcher who's had a very hard time staying on the field the last handful of years. Buehler missed all of 2023 recovering from Tommy John surgery. He missed a lot of time as well in 2024 with a hip problem. In 2024, he appeared in 16 games to a 5.38 ERA. In the National League Championship Series, Buehler pitched 4 shutout innings against the New York Mets with 6 strikeouts. He followed that up in the World Series with 6 shutout innings against the Yankees with 7 strikeouts, including the save in Game 5 to clinch the World Series victory. We all know the kind of upside that Walker Buehler has. He can be a legitimate ace, but he has not pitched like that in 3 years besides these 10 innings in the postseason. Now you have him joining the likes of Cutter Crawford, Brian Bayo, Tanner Houck, Garrett Crochet. A lot of question marks here. I feel like this was a team in the Boston Red Sox that needed a sure thing. Needed a Corbin Burns, needed a Max Fried. Not a Walker Buehler, not another guy who could be great, could be awful. The Red Sox need durability. They need projectable innings, not more question marks. So I look at this Red Sox rotation and I say, yeah, if things break right, this could be a great staff. But in reality, things probably won't break right in this group, and it's going to be a pretty mediocre to possibly bad staff. I think this 1-year flyer made a lot of sense for a lot of teams, but not for the Boston Red Sox. And for our last order of business today, the New York Mets and Sean Manaea have come to terms. Manaea is going back to the Mets on a 3-year, $75 million deal. In my free agent prediction video, I had Manaea going back to the Mets on a 3-year, $60 million deal, so pretty close here, just a little bit off on the money. In 2024, for the New York Mets, Sean Manaea pitched in 32 games, pitching to a 3.47 ERA, logging 181 2/3 innings while striking out 184 batters. This was a move the Mets absolutely had to make here. Manaea was their ace last season. He pitched phenomenally. Of course, it's well known at this point. He changed his arm slot to mimic Chris Sale. He pitched like Chris Sale basically from that point on. A really strong starting pitcher for this team. Probably profiles as their number 1, maybe number 2, depending on how Kodai Senga bounces back. A really important signing for the New York Mets. I think the Mets will be done now adding impact starting pitching. They have a strong group of pitchers here to at least get them through the regular season. They also have some prospects in the upper minors like Brandon Sproat they see a lot of potential in. I think there's a lot of concern here looking at a potential playoff roster with Sean Manaea, Kodai Senga, and Frankie Montas as your 1, 2, 3, but we are still so far away from that. There's, of course, the trade deadline. We saw last year the Dodgers won the World Series with basically 2.5 healthy pitchers. It's been done before. You always want that big horse that you trust in Game 1. Sean Manaea was that guy for them last year. He, of course, probably does profile best as a number 2 starter. He's probably going to have a low to mids 3 ERA, but it's a strong crew, and they'll worry about the playoff rotation when they get there. And we are going to end this video with one more move here. The Pittsburgh Pirates agree to bring back Andrew McCutchen. 1-year, $5 million deal. Great for baseball. Everyone loves Kutch. An awesome thing to see. But that is going to do it for me here. Hopefully everyone enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching.